One time in 9th grade my music teacher told us he was in an a cappella group and told us the name. I then looked him up on YouTube and saw a video of him in women's lingerie. My stupid ass decided to show my best friend and we laughed about it for days. Soon we wanted to do the right thing and we told him that we found the video and he refused to take it down. Later the whole school knew about this man in women's lingerie messing around with his friends in college. Mostly because of my friend's blabbermouth, and he was just a terrible unreasonable teacher who made music appreciation my hardest class. Soon everyone was posting the pictures of him on Instagram and Snapchat. People were going up to him and making fun of him. A parent then found out and started posting the pictures to Facebook and exposing him to our whole town, demanding he would be fired. I then got called to the principal's where I showed the video to him. He was like face with wide open eyes and flushed cheeks. He then said there was going to be a meeting. The following day during our music class the principal gave us a talk about certain images circulating around the school while staring at me, making me very uncomfortable. The music teacher got in trouble and soon the videos were taken down, but I still have the screenshots. In 9th grade me and my friend who are both black decided to hand out N-word passes to some kids who were gullible to buy them. We sold them for $2 per day and there were kids who were buying them after school. We split the money and made $200 all together and we spent it. Next day me and him got caught cause someone snitched. And it was the obese Alabama brother fucking Make America Great Again trucking puff bar loving white girl whose parents were racist and she didn't like the rate we were selling. Long story short, me and him got suspended for 3 days, but it was worth it lol. I wore the shirt I bought with the money to school the next day. Okay, so basically when I was 14 I worked at McDonald's and one day this ugly Karen sweaty musty rusty crusty ass bitch came up to me and ordered food. So as usual I took her order, but I realized she was staring at me weird the whole time. I was like, what the fuck are you staring at, ugly Karen? Then when her order got called out she saw me talking to a customer in Spanish. So she waited there for about 5 minutes and told me we're in America and to speak American. As much as I wanted to go off on this ugly ass bitch, I didn't want to get fired, so I calmly said please leave. She didn't listen and started yelling at me, so I got so mad that I grabbed the hot coffee and threw it at her. The look on her face was priceless. Then I told her to get the fuck out and she finally listened. I added, and American isn't a language. Yes, I did get fired, but I'd do it again. Okay, so basically when I was 14 I worked at McDonald's and one day this ugly Karen sweaty musty rusty crusty ass bitch came up to me and ordered food. So as usual I took her order, but I realized she was staring at me weird the whole time. I was like, what the fuck are you staring at, ugly Karen? Then when her order got called out she saw me talking to a customer in Spanish. So she waited there for about 5 minutes and told me we're in America and to speak American. As much as I wanted to go off on this ugly ass bitch, I didn't want to get fired, so I calmly said please leave. She didn't listen and started yelling at me, so I got so mad that I grabbed the hot coffee and threw it at her. The look on her face was priceless. Then I told her to get the fuck out and she finally listened. I added, and American isn't a language. Yes, I did get fired, but I'd do it again. Observed until she tried to hit me. Keep in mind I am a little bigger in size, which means I'm stronger, and she's really skinny, like 75 pounds. So she hit me first, which means I could go off on her ass, and I hit her so hard her face was bleeding, and I don't regret a thing to this day. Then she decided to say that her blind ass without glasses could read my lips across the room and said that I was swearing at a teacher, and the gym teacher really likes Jennifer and she hates me. So they went down to the office and they ended up getting suspended. Hey, so when I was in 5th grade I was really close friends with these girls. Let's call them Jennifer and Victoria because that's their names, and I've wanted to expose these hoes. So we were really close friends for a while, and then about halfway through the year I had to switch classes because they got a new teacher and we could finally be in classes of smaller sizes. And I had just switched, and then they decided to have a grudge against me for no reason. We were on really good terms when I left their class, and then they turned against me and they started to be really mean. Especially Jennifer. Victoria wasn't that bad, and I still am not that bad with Victoria to this day, but I hate Jennifer's guts. So Jennifer influenced Victoria to bully me and would bring up stuff that I had only told them, which is really messed up. And they did this for months before I did anything. I had a different friend and shit, and they done the same thing to her. The same Jennifer, her best friend. And we both wanted revenge back, so we started spreading rumors about Jennifer, and she got what she deserved until she tried to hit me. Keep in mind. Okay, this is pretty fucked up, but I couldn't make this shit up. When I was in 7th grade I was in gifted and talented math. I had this wacky teacher who I had for 2 years prior and I never learned one thing in that class. I got pretty good at making her go off on tangents about random things, so one day during class I asked her to show us pictures of her dog because I didn't want to learn about the Pythagorean theorem. She goes on to her Google Photos to find pictures of her dog, but she couldn't find any, so she logged into her personal account. She scrolls through her photos and finally finds pictures of her dog, and we are just flipping through pictures of her dog on the projector board when suddenly this big fat gargantuous scraggly ass pussy flashes on the board. I swear to God that thing looked like the crust patty from SpongeBob. The hairs peeked out of it in such a disturbing manner. That shit is fried into my brain. We all sat there in pure shock for a few seconds and she slammed the laptop shut and told us to not tell anyone about it. Of course, because we were all loudmouth 7th graders. Administrators found out about it pretty quickly. She got fired obviously, and a detective had to ask me questions about it because apparently she was threatening to shoot students in her other class. Then not even a year later she died from a heart attack. So basically I think I caused my middle school math teacher to have a heart attack. R.I.P. Ms. Roberts. Okay, this is pretty fucked up, but I couldn't make this shit up. When I was in 7th grade I was in gifted and talented math. I had this wacky teacher who I had for 2 years prior and I never learned one thing in that class. I got pretty good at making her go off on tangents about random things, so one day during class I asked her to show us pictures of her dog because I didn't want to learn about the Pythagorean theorem. She goes on to her Google Photos to find pictures of her dog, but she couldn't find any, so she logged into her personal account. She scrolls through her photos and finally finds pictures of her dog, and we are just flipping through pictures of her dog on the projector board when suddenly this big fat gargantuous scraggly ass pussy flashes on the board. I swear to God that thing looked like the crust patty from SpongeBob. The hairs peeked out of it in such a disturbing manner. That shit is fried into my brain. We all sat there in pure shock for a few seconds and she slammed the laptop shut and told us to not tell anyone about it. Of course, because we were all loudmouth 7th graders. Administrators found out about it pretty quickly. She got fired obviously, and a detective had to ask me questions about it because apparently she was threatening to shoot students in her other class. Then not even a year later she died from a heart attack. So basically I think I caused my middle school math teacher to have a heart attack. R.I.P. Ms. Roberts. Okay, so a couple years back my teenage sister was pregnant. Nobody knew at the time, not even her. And so one day I was in my room just hanging out, and I heard a really loud scream coming from my sister's room. Naturally me and my family went upstairs to go check on her to make sure she's okay. And me and my mom walked into my sister's room, and there was blood all over her sheets. And my sister had, I wanna keep it family friendly, so let's just say toy. Anyway, there was a bloody toy in her hand and she kept screaming. Like it was a lot of blood. My mom took her to the hospital cause she didn't know what else to do. And it turns out she accidentally gave herself an abortion with a toy. Okay, here's my confession. One time in 6th grade I was single as fuck, so I went on Tinder and matched with this guy, and I asked him if we could meet up then smash, and he agreed, so I gave him my address and he snuck in at around 1 in the morning. He was 16 at the time and I was only 12, but I didn't care and neither did he, so we started making out and he slowly took off his clothes and mine and he put his ding dong in me, but it was really small and I'm not even sure if I lost my V card to him cause it was so small, but 3 years later I found out he was a sex offender, lol. Okay, so here's my story. So a girl at our school lies about everything. She is a pathological liar. She once told me that she moved to our school from Hawaii and that they lived in huts. She would also speak gibberish claiming it was a real language. We got a student from Guatemala who didn't speak English and this bitch would literally speak her weird ass language to him acting like it was Spanish. The new kid looked super confused. Then after a while I got sick of it and called her out on all her lies. Then she admitted to lying. Then she continued to keep with the lies, so I would keep calling that bitch out and she kept telling me that it was real. And for a bit of karma, a girl that actually lived in Hawaii came to our school, so when she told the girl her Hawaii lie she went TF no, we don't live in huts in front of everyone, and she cried. I hate that girls. One time when I was at a friend's house we were prank calling and we decided to call our local strip club. We called them and asked them what you have to do to become a stripper, and she told us the requirements and pay and more. She asked if we were 18 or older and we said we were 17 about to turn 18. At this point she was telling us to come in and do an interview. We eventually told her we were kids and she hung up and we got a call from a different number. It was her mobile phone and she had our address and our parents' number. We were scared so we hung up, but my friend was terrified that she would call her parents and her parents were strict. We blocked both numbers and went to bed.
One time when I was 5 or 6, a teacher found a pair of shitty underwear in the bathroom and all the teachers had to line up their students to find out which kid needed to be sent home. My teacher literally went round the class putting her hand into our pants to make sure we had underwear on. I'm still pretty traumatized from feeling her crusty dusty old woman hand in between my ass cheeks. Anyway, it got to the last kid in my class and my teacher put her hand in his ass, and when she pulled her arm out it was covered in shit. The kid was crying, so was the teacher. One student threw up and I caused a chain reaction and everyone was throwing. It was so gross. The vomit smell was there for weeks.
This one time when I was little I thought I could talk to trees. Because I had no friends. And I used to sit by them and say things, and one day I was talking to my tree friend called Kevin, and this girl went up to me and said, "Are you talking to that tree, freak?" And I started crying and hugged onto the tree. And while she was laughing, one of the branches fell on the girl's head. Thanks, Kevin. In middle school, the popular kids went through this really fucking weird but kind of funny phase where they would scream so loud when they had to sneeze. This one girl was so loud, oh my god, she'd literally straight up scream before she sneezed. Like instead of the ah-ah-achoo, it'd be like a chew. On the first day of 6th grade I had a crush and he liked me back. He's been my boyfriend for 2 months. We met up at the park and he decided to kiss me. I kissed him back. The next day I asked my mom if my friend could come over. That was actually my boyfriend. She didn't know about him. Once he got to my house, my mom said he was my cousin. I've been kissing my cousin. Once in like 4th grade we were in class doing work and suddenly the principal told us we were going into lockdown and that it was not a drill. So we all got into the corner of the room and someone banged and shook the door aggressively and we were all scared and about to cry except me because I was a little psychopath and I thought the thrill was fun. Anyways, after a while we were all told to go into the gym by police. A cop, by the way. They were yelling at us to go when kids were pissing themselves probably. So we got to the gym and the principal told us it was actually just a drill and none of it was real, and I will never ever forgive that fat moth. When I was in 11th grade I met this boy named Ricky at a high school party and we were vibing and chilling, and out of nowhere this girl comes and starts pushing me saying why was I near her mans, and she started throwing cups at me and bottles, and Ricky grabbed me by the waist and kissed me in front of her and told me she has been toxic all their relationship, and the next day at school she tried fighting me and I brought my older sister with me and we dragged her across the auditorium. When I was 16 I started dating my best friend of 2 years. Then, 2 weeks after we started dating we decided we wanted to do the do. He was in the middle of moving from an apartment to a house, so we snuck into his new house while his parents were at their apartment. The only thing he had in his room was his comforter and some decorative pillows and a couple of Funko Pop figures. We made out for at least an hour and we decided it was time to do it. The only problem was I was on my last day of my period, so I still had a tampon in. I told him that I was going to go take it out and he said no, it's okay, I got it, and pulled the tampon out of me. Then he said he was going to go get protection, but came back in his room quickly because his dad came to the house to start playing his guitars in the room next to us. Then, his dad walked into his room and made eye contact with me while I had no pants on and was covered by the blanket. Then his dad left us alone to go to Walmart because he didn't want to be in the house with us while it happened. Now we are getting married, sparkles. So one day I was on the bus and I got a Snapchat notification from some dude named Ethan. I opened it up and he texted me saying hi and asked for a picture. I sent him one and he called me hot, so we started talking for the next week. This was the one fucking guy that gave me attention, so I was like, yes bitch, finally. He said he lived in Texas but he had one of those sus ass no bitmoji Snapchats. Anyways, long story short, I sent him nudes, lol. I felt okay because my dumb fucking self thought he lived in Texas. Later to find out he had hit up every girl in my school with his fake account including my best friend. Me and my best friend were the only ones that sent nudes to him. Every other girl was clowning him and saying he was a creep except for our dumbasses because we were so fucking slow. He later told us how he didn't live in Texas and lived in the Bay Area, so I started freaking the fuck out and blocked him. Anyways, me and my bestie went to school the next day embarrassed and sad as fuck that we fell for him and Chile. Me and my bestie went in the bathroom and cried together. Moral of the story, fuck men 2020.
One time at lunch my best friend wanted to make out with a boy in the bathroom and asked me to take the second girl's pass so that nobody could come to the bathrooms, and the boy's friend did the same. Then we all went to the bathroom and my friend went into the boy's bathroom. So I left her there and she said she would be back in 10 minutes. After 10 minutes I went back to the bathroom and she was still in there, so I thought she was going to get raped, so I burst in and saw my friend crying. I grabbed her arm and tried to drag her out, but then a teacher came in and detained us all as if it was a motherfucking crime scene. They told us to give them our phones and I got to go to the office and the teacher questioned me like it was a Q&A, like bitch fuck off. Then she let me go and back to class and I started having a panic attack.
One time when I was 15 I went to the beach with my best friend and we were there all day. I ended up sleeping over at her house and before bed I chugged 2 bottles of water. I felt very dehydrated. We were sleeping in the same bed and I fucking wet the bed. I peed so fucking much it woke me up and it was all over her too. I was panicking and didn't know what to do, so I went to the fridge, got chocolate milk and poured it all over the bed and all over her and said I spilled chocolate milk and we need to wash the sheets, and she believed me. I'm 18 now and she still has no idea. I had a boyfriend back in junior year but I was close with his friends before I dated him. When we were dating I had his friend in one of my classes and he was so sweet and funny but never went further because he respected our relationship. Then my boyfriend and I broke up and I was so upset. I told him about it and he said he was here for me. Over the past few months the more I talked with him the more I realized I liked him but I wasn't sure if he would like me back. One day I opened up to him about my depression and anxiety and he was so kind and understanding about it, unlike how my ex was. He works at a boba shop and he asked if I wanted boba. I said yes jokingly, but surprisingly he asks for my address and shows up around 11:30 at night since he closes. I had to sneak out to the front but it was worth it. The moment I saw him with my boba and when he said I'm always here for you and you can talk to me about anything, I knew I made the wrong choice in dating my ex when he was there all along. I am still currently falling for him and he doesn't know how I feel, but I know for a fact I don't want to lose him. One time me and my boyfriend were doing the nasty and I was moaning kinda loud, and after we finished, when I say we I mean him, I went to the bathroom to go potty because that's what you're supposed to do or whatever, and as I was walking to the bathroom my boyfriend's phone rang and it was his dad and he answered and said, "Hey, what are you two doing?" And my boyfriend said, "What do you mean?" And his dad said, "Just answer the question." And my boyfriend asked, "Where are you?" And his dad replied, "In the bathroom," and then walked out into the family room where we were sitting. So long story short, we thought his dad was outside because we heard the front door open and close, and even though he didn't say it to us directly, I'm pretty sure he heard us. It was really awkward, and the only good thing about me and the boy breaking up is now I don't ever have to face his dad wondering if he knew what we did. Okay, so I'm a boy and I'm bi and I was dating this girl, but I had the biggest crush on this boy that was the teacher's son, and I tried to make my girlfriend break up with me by showing her hot girls, but it didn't work. I was really good in the PE class, which is my crush's dad's class, and I low-key liked his dad too, but I liked him more. So I got close to the teacher and always helped him out so my crush will pay attention to me. Eventually we became friends, but I was still dating my ex-girlfriend, but I didn't care and we would low-key flirt all the time and touch each other's hands. And one day we met up in the bathroom coincidentally and we went outside to the little garden the school has and we were reading a book together, and then it led to us making out. The gym teacher saw us and kinda freaked out, but he was cool with it later on when he had a talk with his son. I broke up with my girlfriend and would hang out at my crush's now boyfriend, I think, house a lot, and I still have feelings for his dad. Yeah, red heart. I once faked a seizure during class to get out of taking a final exam in 5th grade. It was the end of the year and had a final exam coming up. I stayed up all night watching TV and spending 10 minutes or less studying. I know it wasn't healthy to do that, but I was immature. The next day my mind went blank. I had no idea what I just studied and my exam was in 1 hour. I walked into that cold ass freezing room nervous as fuck. I had to come up with something, so the first thing that popped into my head was faking a seizure or faking death. Like, what in the fucking psycho ass shit was going on in my head? I don't know why that came to me, but I immediately fell to the floor and started flopping around like a fish out of water. Like, bitch, I looked like Finding Dory. I even held my breath so I looked as pink as my coochie. Everyone was panicking and asking if I was okay. I said, yeah, I'm okay, I just need to breathe. My teacher felt so bad and said I can take it next week. The following Monday, 3 months before I turned 18, I went out with a bunch of friends, and I decided to make a bet with a friend on who could drink more vodka. Of course, as a tiny girl, I lost. And it hit me hard. I got up to go to the bathroom at one point, and everything was spinning, so I peed myself and threw up. The end result, I was taken to the hospital because I almost was in an alcoholic coma. They called child services because I was still a minor, and my friend called my mother. I was so nervous that they had to give me sedatives when I saw my parents at the hospital. The day after, at home, my parents were laughing their asses off at me. To this day, I feel stupid and humiliated about making the bet. But after hearing some family stories, I realized that my aunts, my dad, and even my grandma had all done stupid stuff after.